Facebook buddy. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mr. Moon, formerly known as Mr. Dick, but Mr. Dick has now died. Mr. Dick has left the building, and I am now officially Mr. Moon. Mr. Moon here with another podcast. This is podcast number 6. This is podcast number 6, a continuation on from my original podcast under the pseudonym of Mr. Dick. And again, if you are listening to this, I thank you. I don't really get too many listeners, but when I do, it is always a good day. Yes, and I've been gone for a little bit. I have been away, unable to get to this type of activity, mainly because I've been dealing with my own demons, my own issues, my own problems, and I haven't been able to really focus for a while. But I'm back today, and there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. And I guess I'm going to get right into it. Over the last few weeks, I've had a lot of time to think and a lot of time to really look into more things and to really come to some firm conclusions. And I really feel like I've figured it out. I have cracked the code. I've figured out, what the end game really is. And I'm not going to lay it all out here for you or anything like that, but I just wanted to let you know that I think that I've done that. Obviously there are many factors involved with the end game, and it's way above and beyond the conclusion I've come to, but I have a pretty general idea of where this is all going and why it's going that way. And once you know that, everything starts to make sense. Everything starts to make sense. Why we are being told this, or why this is happening over there, or why that guy's saying this, and all of the above. It all just kind of fits like a puzzle. And it just comes together. And so it's definitely come together for me in the last few weeks. I don't know if that's a good thing, because I just don't see a way out of this. And some would call me defeatist. Some would say that I am incapable of looking on the bright side of life. I am a downer. I am pessimistic. Whatever you want to call me, I have already been called those things. But everybody who does seem to know what's going down is kind of riding this train with me. So that's just pretty much it. But before I get into the specifics of today's topics, I wanted to just quickly go over, where people are in my world. Just the few people that I'm in contact with, and on a certain level with, and I'm really realizing that the people in my immediate sphere are still in the dark. They are still fast asleep. They are catching their Z's Betty by. They're totally out of it. They have no clue. And I get it, because life is a struggle. And it is a struggle to survive these days. And, nobody's throwing us any bones anymore. And it just seems to be getting progressively worse. So I definitely understand that people are thinking the way they are. They are preoccupied with their daily existence. They are worried, they are stressed out, they are lacking in funds, and they're going to catch a break wherever they can. So when it comes to heavy topics like why is this all happening, most of them just go right back to sleep. And I have definitely been guilty of that. I still do that every now and then. But whatever you do and whatever you think, there's no escaping this ride. And the song I opened with is a song entitled Magic Carpet Ride by the Chemical Brothers. And it's totally appropriate because that is what we're on, ladies and gentlemen. We are on a magic carpet ride that is destined to dock straight in the pit of hell. Destination Lake of Fire. That's where our ride is heading. That's where we're all going, for the most part. Not all of us, but a lot of us. And, that is the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. And I know that a lot of you don't want to believe that, and that's fine, because you are free to believe whatever you want. It's called free will. It's called free will. But so I've kind of decided, I've put people into 3 different categories, and this isn't any brilliant concept or anything, but I was having a conversation with an old friend that I hadn't really talked to in a while, and we were kind of discussing this stuff, and I was telling him, the way I look at it now is that the people of the earth fall into 3 different categories. And they are the knowers, the deceivers, and the deceived. So the 3 different categories: the knowers, deceivers, and the deceived. Knowers are the ones who know what's up. They know what's up. They know who their God is, and they are striving to worship that God. They're doing their best to better themselves. They're taking it one day at a time, and they're trying to help other people, and they're living their lives in a way that can be perceived as positive. Then you have the deceivers. The deceivers are the ones who also know what the score is, what the situation is, but they have chosen to follow the dark side, okay? They are riding the Death Star, and they are consciously doing that, willingly doing that. They're being rewarded for it, and they have a plan just like the knowers do, just like God does. So the knowers and the deceivers. But then you have the deceived, and that is pretty much, I think, the majority of the world, the deceived. And that does not include just atheists, because the deceived also includes false religions, false beliefs, false spirituality. And I think we are definitely aware of the fact that a false system of spirituality has taken hold of this world, has taken hold of Western society. It has Easternized religions in the West, and it has made life completely nebulous to these people. It is just a thick fog that they're wading through, thinking that they're doing themselves a favor, but unfortunately that could not be farther from the truth. So that's where we're at. And again, when I did the podcast about atheism, I'm pretty sure I mentioned a friend of mine who, when I asked him about God, he gave me this flack that people that worship God are pathetic. That's what he believed. That they're just pathetic. They're weak individuals. And I had a conversation with the same person recently, and since then he's changed his mind slightly, but he still is in the fog. And he has decided to follow the man-made path, his own personal man-made version of reality, and there's no changing that for him. I tried to show him what I've been looking into. I tried to prove it to him, with evidence and research, but he doesn't want to see it like that. He wants to see all this stuff as my personal belief that he does not share. And that's where he's at. He falls into the deceived category. And, I'm sure a lot of people out there will disagree with me. And, again, you're free to do that. And I completely understand because on the other end of the spectrum where I sit and many others sit, there's no easy way out. It's pretty cut and dry at this point. Life is not a free ride where you're entitled to happiness just because you were born. It doesn't work like that. And people just can't accept that. They just can't accept it. It's not something they want to even deal with. And they will go right back to sleep. So much of the world, even though, they may partake in this false spirituality, they are pretty godless because they have no really firm idea of what God is or who he is or what his name is. An article just came out recently that a church declared that God is no longer male. God is no longer male. So, that is pretty much a false declaration in my mind. I mean, because, again, you have to look at the Bible. And in the Bible, God is described as the Father, repeatedly. So you can take that however you want to take it. But, so you have a godless and lukewarm population because even though people say they believe in God, they want to believe in God, they don't want to stand on anything firm, they don't want to take any firm stance on anything, and that leads them to this lukewarm understanding of faith and this lukewarm approach. And again, God is not feeling that, okay? He does not like that, and he discusses that repeatedly in the Bible as well. And I also wanted to mention the Stephen Hawking articles that came out in every publication, every news outlet. It was major headline news for about a week that Stephen Hawking no longer believes that God created the universe. And again, this was all over the place. And within a matter of days, everybody was talking about this. Everybody was commenting on these articles, on the comment sections. And it's clear that the world is divided. I mean, it could not be any more clear. So I wanted to discuss that a little bit. So, I'm looking. I have a bunch of the articles in front of me, and I think it's safe to admit, because it's not really a secret anymore, because people talk about it all the time. They talk about how the media is controlled. Okay. Again, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, even though you may point the finger, but it's like openly discussed at this point that there are things that are not being said. When a story comes out, everybody has the same story, everybody has the same language. The articles come out verbatim pretty much in every article, and so